I met my husband, Peter, when I was 19 and a secretary in accountants, where he was the rising young star of the company. Aged 20, he already had a reputation for taking risks, but he made lots of money. I fell for Peter right away, and he returned my feelings. We were together a year before I became pregnant with our daughter Kara, and Peter wanted me to give up work and stay at home with her. He was making more than enough money to keep us, and, though he worked a lot of hours, he always made time for me. It wasn't long before Peter moved up the corporate ladder. He became a manager in less than 3 years, and I was very proud of him, doing everything I could to support him. When Peter became a manager, we married. At the time we were living in a rented house, but as a wedding present his parents bought us a massive 5-bedroom house, complete with 3 bathrooms, swimming pool, and a jacuzzi. I think they wanted a lot of grandkids. A little over a year later, along came our second daughter, Lucy. The 4-year difference may seem to be a long time, but Peter wanted to make sure we could afford another child. Peter and I were happy together, also going out for fancy meals and nights on the town. We had plenty of money and we tended to spoil our daughters. Growing up, they got everything they wanted. Approaching my 35th birthday was the time when everything started to change. Peter got a huge promotion, office manager up to area manager. I was so happy for him, and his salary almost doubled. What wasn't to like? Well, I soon realized that his new position entailed a lot of traveling and time away from home. I found his long absences challenging to manage. It changed how we lived. He couldn't take me out as much, and, even when he was home, it seemed he was always busy with work. Of course, I tried to be supportive, but I didn't like how things had altered. Over the next couple of years, I spent a lot more time with my friends, particularly Tracy. As it happened, she was also having problems at home. Her son, Lee, was the same age as Kara and they went to the same school. I think they'd tried dating, but it didn't work out. Some 3 years after Peter's promotion, he was always busy with work and it really started pushing us apart. I became so frustrated that I considered having an affair, but I was worried Peter would find out and try to take Kara and Lucy away from me. I couldn't have that at all. I was used to having Tracy there for me during this difficult period, but, suddenly, she distanced herself. She had very little time for me, and she was secretive. It went on for something like 4 months, and I thought she might be having an affair. Then she came back, just like that. Tracy told me that she and her husband Ben were working on their marriage, and she was pregnant. Because I was convinced that Tracy had been having an affair, I didn't think it likely that Ben was the father. One thing I definitely knew about Tracy was that she doted on her son, and that meant she couldn't possibly have an affair without Lee knowing. I asked Kara if she'd noticed any changes in Lee. She said not, only that he seemed happy to be having a brother or sister. I concluded that the guy had to be someone close to Tracy, someone who could come and go without raising suspicions. My curiosity drove me crazy, so I decided to invite Tracy out for a meal and try to discover what had been happening. She was happy to meet me, and I booked a table at our favorite restaurant, one with private booths in the back. I arrived early and was shown to my seat. A waiter handed me a menu and asked, "Would like any wine this evening, madam?" I smiled at him and said, "Yes, please. A large glass of Domaine d'Antugnac Rose, please." "An excellent choice, madam. What about your guest?" I shook my head. "No wine for her, she's pregnant." He nodded. "Very well, madam. Would you like anything else while you wait?" "No. I'll wait for my friend, thank you." "As you wish. I will be right back with your wine." I was on edge waiting for Tracy. I hadn't worked out how to raise the subject of her probable affair, and I sat pondering that when the waiter returned with my glass of wine. I was so nervous I took a large gulp. "Oh dear," I said. "Maybe we'd better make it a bottle." The waiter smiled. "Of course, madam. I will be right back." That's when Tracy arrived, wearing a long black dress and black boots. I got up, hugged her, and we sat as the waiter brought my wine and a menu for her. "Lovely to see you, Laura," she said, opening the menu. "Have you not ordered yet?" "No, not yet. I've been waiting for you." Tracy studied the menu and said, "I will have the Greek salad to start, then the roast rump of Cotswold lamb, thank you." The waiter said, "Excellent choices. And for you, madam, I'll start with the home-cured salmon for my main. I'll have the Tamworth streaky bacon and Cotswold white chicken, thank you." I took a sip of wine as the waiter departed and then said, "So, how have you been with everything?" "Congrats on the baby, of course." Tracy smiled briefly. "Thank you, Laura. I'm happy and it seems to have brought Ben and me back together." I knew you were having problems for a while." Taking a deep breath, I carried on. "To be honest, I was shocked to hear you were pregnant." "What do you mean by that, Laura?" "Well, it's simply that you and Ben were having a lot of problems and then all of a sudden you're pregnant. To me, it just seemed like maybe there was more to the story." "I really don't know why you'd think that, Laura." She took a sip of water. "There isn't any more to the story." I shook my head and decided to dive in. "Look, if you want to lie to yourself, that's fine, but please don't try to fool me. We both know there is more, and I stared into her eyes. I'm guessing that isn't Ben's baby inside you. Tracy looked down at her lap and spluttered, I cut in. I guess that you got pregnant by the guy you've been cheating with. That it? Oh, God, you can't tell anyone about this, Laura. Tracy looked seriously worried. If Ben ever finds out, he'd kill me. I knew it, I said, leaning toward her. That's why you've been so busy over the last 4 months, isn't it? Okay, yes. I had an affair. I didn't mean for it to happen. I don't even know how it started, to be honest. It just happened. Right. I understand that, I said. But who's the guy? That's the one thing I couldn't figure out. I know how close you were with Lee and I couldn't work out how you'd hide an affair from him. Tracy looked shocked. Wow, you want to know it all, don't you? After looking around the restaurant, she said softly, I can't tell you who it was. I promised him that I wouldn't tell anyone. I also don't want it to change the way you think of him either. That disturbed me. So, it's someone I know and you're worried it will upset me. Well, I'd only be upset if you told me it was Peter. I stared at her then said, you're not telling me it's Peter, are you? Of course not, she said, shaking her head. I would never do that to you, Laura. I think far too much of you to ever betray you in that way. I threw my arms up in the air and said, then why can't you tell me? Shush, not so loud. Tracy again glanced around the room. Sorry, I almost whispered, lowering my arms. But, if it's not Peter, I don't understand how it can be that big of a problem for me. There's no one else you could have an affair with that would upset me. Look, you and Ben had problems, and I don't even blame you for taking a lover. So, tell me why you need to know so badly. She sighed. Believe me, it was a mistake and I'm now trying to make the best of a bad job. It's over between us and that's it, Laura. I want to know because it's been driving me crazy for months. Your attitude toward me changed. You must see that. We were best friends, so close, sharing everything, then suddenly, pow, you were distant, all secretive. I paused. So, you must see why I'm curious to know who could cause such a change in our friendship. Tracy was quiet, obviously thinking. Eventually, she said, fine, you really want to know who it was? Yes, I do. Okay, but I tried to warn you. It was Tracy's turn to inhale deeply. I noticed color rising in her cheeks when she said, it was Charlie. I frowned, thinking, who is Charlie? Then I realized and said, oh my God, are you kidding me? You mean Charlie, my car's best friend, that Charlie. Tracy blushed deeply as she said, I'm not proud of it. I know it shouldn't have happened, but it just did, okay? It was all so hard to believe. Not only had my best friend had an affair, but it also involved one her son's friends. And, if it had started 4 months earlier, Charlie must have been only 19 years old. He'd recently turned 20. My head was in a spin. I looked at Tracy and said, what, when, how? Now you can see why I didn't want to tell you the truth, Laura. I would never have thought you'd do something like that. I mean, he's your son's friend for a start, not to mention his age. I guess I understand how you got away with it. Nobody would have thought that he could be a threat to your marriage. I sat back in my seat, and Tracy reached out to hold my hands. As you said, I was having problems with Ben. I'm not saying that excuses what I did. It doesn't, I know that, but it was all so amazing with him. I was flattered that a lad his age would be interested in me. Oh my God, that's all I can say, Laura. I sat in silence, then reached for my wine. A gulp later, I said, my God, wow. I honestly don't know what to say. Is he really that good a lover, Tracy? And really that well endowed? You're not kidding. I couldn't believe my eyes the first time I saw him. Just listening to her got me aroused. Well, I guess I can understand why it happened if he was really all that. Really? You let him take you like that? It's so not like you, Tracy. Mind you, I can understand, I said. I know it doesn't sound like me, but that was a great thing about being with Charlie. I didn't have to be myself. I could just let go and enjoy it. Of course, I knew it had to stop before Ben found out and, in a way, I was glad when I got pregnant. It snapped me back to reality. Tracy drained her water glass. I must tell you, though, I was surprised how mature Charlie was about me calling an end to it all. He didn't push me to carry on with him. I told him I needed to stop to be with Ben for Lee's sake, and he accepted that. I didn't understand why Tracy was surprised. Let's face it, Charlie had just had fun cheating with her for 4 months, got her pregnant, and he didn't have to deal with it. No responsibility at all. She was taking it all on herself, and he got away scot-free after cheating with a gorgeous, busty, mature woman. I think you both got what you wanted, I said. I'm glad Ben believes it's his child. Otherwise, that could have been a huge problem. Tracy nodded. Yes, I know. I was so happy that Ben bought it. It would have been awful if he didn't. But I don't think it's the best idea to discuss this here. Please, let's change the subject. I was disappointed, but I saw her point. It was lovely to catch up with Tracy, but my mind kept wandering to what she'd said about Charlie. The food was exceptional and, after eating, we called it a night. I walked to my car, but knew I'd had too much wine. I phoned for a taxi and thought about Charlie while I waited. I knew him well, and he treated Kara almost like his sister, Jessica, than anything else. I certainly didn't believe anything was happening between him and my daughter. When the taxi dropped me off, I walked up to the house still feeling lightheaded. I went straight to bed. Over the next few days, I tried to behave around Charlie as I'd always done, but it was difficult as I wondered if everything Tracy had told me about him was true. Charlie spent a lot of time at our house with Kara, and I was grateful that she had a friend looking out for her. One thing Kara loved was long-distance running, and she generally went on her own. She didn't have friends who ran, except for Charlie. He seemed the only person able to keep up with her, quite a surprise considering his solid build. I figured the gym was his thing. One afternoon when Kara and Charlie came in from a lengthy run, they were both sweating and panting. Kara went upstairs for a shower and I told Charlie, "I'm surprised you're into long-distance running." "Was that?" he asked, taking a bottle of water from the fridge. "Judging by your body type, I thought exercising in the gym would be more your way of keeping fit." "You're right, it is. But all fitness is essential. There's not one single way to get in shape. For me, working out in the gym is excellent for toning, but long-distance running or cardio is just as vital. They boost fitness levels and stamina and enable you to work out for longer periods." I liked listening to Charlie talks about fitness. Yep, I guess I never looked at it like that. "You are a great friend helping Kara with all of this." "I don't mind at all. It's always easier to work out when there's more than yourself. It helps to keep you motivated and pushing forward." Charlie took a drink. I nodded and said, "I see your point. Are there others you help to keep in shape?" "Yes. I try to help all of my friends. It's actually one reason why I'm in such good shape. Helping them means I go to the gym every day. It can take its toll, but I love it." He gurgled some more water. "It's why I aim to be a fitness trainer. My mom always says, love what you do for work, and you will never work a day in your life." I smiled. "I love how close you are to your mom. You were there for her after the divorce. I hope she knows how lucky she is to have you." Charlie drained the rest of the bottle, dropped it in the bin, and said, "I'm just as lucky to have her." "You're so sweet, Charlie." I gazed into his eyes. "You know, I must tell you I'm shocked that you and Kara never got together." He nodded. "We did talk about it, but decided we didn't want to risk our friendship." I took a can of Coke from the fridge. I guess I can understand that. But surely, a lad as good looking and in shape as you are, must have a girlfriend. Or maybe more than one." Charlie laughed. "I don't have anyone I'm serious about, but I do get together with some friends. Truthfully, I'm looking ahead and I know I will be busy with college and helping my friends for a while. So, I don't want to stretch myself too thin so that I can't be properly there for a girlfriend." "You know, Charlie, that's very mature of you. Tracy said you were very mature for your age." I smiled, waiting to see if Charlie picked up on the hint. "Tracy is too kind to me. I think she likes me for all the help I give Lee." "Yes, she did say you've helped her and Lee quite a lot. And I'm grateful you're here for Kara. It's nice to know she has such a great friend." I paused and decided to plunge in, feet first. "To be honest, I could use someone like you being there for me. It's hard with my husband traveling all the time." Charlie looked shocked and said, "I didn't know you and your husband were having problems." "Oh, it's nothing serious, Charlie," I said, not wanting him to start any rumors. "Nothing to worry about at all." It was then that Kara came downstairs and said, "Hey ma'am, I'm going to Charlie's house. Then we're off to the movies. I'll see you when I get home." "Okay." I nodded and asked, "Do you need any money?" "If you're offering, I won't say no." I handed her £40. "Have fun and be back by 11, right?" I followed them to the front door and watched as they set off on the 10-minute walk to Charlie's house. Closing the door, I thought, I shouldn't get carried away like that flirting with Charlie, dropping hints. I need to be more careful what I say to him. As I returned to the kitchen, my phone buzzed with a text from Peter. He wouldn't be home until Monday. I was really getting fed up with this and messaged back, "Whatever." He was meant to be away for 3 days. Now it was extended into next week. And we'd agreed he would take me out on Friday night for a meal so that we could reconnect. That wouldn't be happening. Yet another broken promise. Since I would be alone that night, Lucy was at a sleepover. There was no point in making an effort. I phoned for an Indian takeaway meal and slumped back on the sofa and thought, as much as I love Peter, I'm sick of him always being away at work. Maybe it's time I had an affair. I mean, look at Tracy. She had one and it worked out well for her. I then realized I wasn't just thinking about having an affair. I was thinking about doing it with Charlie. I shook my head. I can't do that. It wouldn't just hurt Peter if it came out. It would hurt Kara. No way will I do that to her, no matter how lonely and frustrated I am. Charlie was definitely out of the picture. But, if I was going to have a fling, I needed to find a guy. I'll start tomorrow, I thought. I'll look around town, have a coffee, go to the gym, Surely it can't be too hard to find someone. My thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door. Food had arrived. I put it on a plate and ate while I watched a movie. At 10:30, Kara came home. Did you have a good time with Charlie? Kara looked tired but said, yep, I always do. The movie wasn't up to much, so we came out and went to the arcades to play pool and air hockey. He beat me at pool, but I beat him at air hockey. It turned out to be much better than watching a movie. That's great, sweetie. Your dad has sent a text to tell us he won't be back until Monday. That's a shame, but one of those things, I guess. Sorry ma'am, I'm wiped out. I'm going to bed. See you in the morning. I got up off the sofa and said, yeah, I'm done too. We headed upstairs to our bedrooms. I didn't understand why Kara didn't date Charlie. I mean, they'd basically just had a date night, but it was her choice. Friday morning, I got up at about 10. After a quick shower, I looked through the clothes in my wardrobe, contemplating what to wear. I figured a great place to meet a guy would be the gym, so I selected a vest and yoga pants. Downstairs, I saw my daughter making toast in the kitchen. Good morning, Kara. How did you sleep? I slept great, ma'am. She seemed happy. I got a text from Grandpa this morning asking if Lucy and I wanted to spend the weekend with them. I'm hoping you wouldn't mind if I went. Yes, I thought, that will work out great. Both daughters out of the way while I seek a guy to enjoy myself with. I hugged Kara and said, of course you can. I know how much you love it up at the lake house. Thanks so much, ma'am. I'm going to call Grandpa and tell him we're coming. While Kara rushed upstairs for her phone, I thought how it was all working out great. All I needed now was to find a man. Kara came back downstairs and said, Grandpa will be here to pick us up at 5, so I have time to go shopping. Can you give me some of my birthday money? I nodded. Sure. And will you take Lucy with you, so she can get some new stuff too? I'm going to the gym and I'll drop you both off. I parked in the city at 10:30 and told the girls to be back around 1. It had been a while since I'd been to the gym, and the setup had changed a little, but I soon found my way around. I'd noticed several guys checking me out, and then a young lad came over. He looked to be in his mid-20s, and he smiled at me. Hello, love, is there anything I can give you a hand with today? I looked him over and asked, do you work here? He shook his head. No, I don't, but I can't help myself when it comes to beautiful women. I always try to help in any way I can. Wow, you don't waste any time, do you? Life is too short to waste time. Lovely. And why should I waste time when you're offering it so freely? He said. So, tell me, how would you like me to help you out? Maybe you should calm down. Why? We both know what you want and I can give it to you. I pushed his hand away and said, look, I'm married, you need to back off. Really? So why were flirting with me? I told you, leave me alone. Before he could say anything, he was pulled away and pinned against the wall. I saw it was Charlie looking the guy in the eyes. I believe the lady asked you to leave her alone. If I were you, I'd do as she asked before someone gets hurt. Hey, she was coming on to me, the guy protested. Anyway, I don't see what business this is of yours. I'm making it my business, Charlie said, glancing at me. Now, unless you want to take this outside, you should do as the lady asks and leave her alone. Fine, whatever, just let me go. Charlie pushed him away and said, goodbye. The guy shrugged. You can keep the girl. She isn't worth my time, anyway. Charlie watched him walk away and then turned to me. Are you okay, Laura? I'm fine, I said, thanks to you. I can't believe you just did that for me. The guy is a colossal arsehole and thinks he's God's gift to women. You're not the first one he has come onto like that. I looked down at my feet and admitted, well, I must say that this time it wasn't all his fault. I was kind of flirting with him. Charlie looked genuinely shocked. What? Why would you flirt with a guy like him? I mean, what about your husband? I took a deep breath and said, truthfully, things haven't been going that well between Peter and me for a while now. He's always away at work and I've been lonely. I understand. Charlie took a pace back from me. Maybe even more than you realize. How could you know? Charlie, you're not married. You're right, I'm not married, Laura. But I did see the problems building between my parents. I guess that's so. I never thought about it like that. I stared into his eyes. I'm sorry, Charlie, but the thing is, Peter and I used to be so close, and now, well, I don't know what to do anymore. I think you do, Charlie said, a stern look on his face. I think that's why you're here. You're looking for it. I was startled and my mouth gaped in surprise. I was lost for words. How could he know my intentions? Look, he continued, speaking barely above a whisper, if you want my advice, don't just give it to anyone. If loneliness is your problem, then maybe I can help you out. I regained my voice. What do you mean? Charlie smiled. Well, doing what you are will likely lead to one thing, divorce, and you don't want that. It would be hell for Kara and Lucy. I know you love them too much to put them through that, so why don't you let me do for you what I did for my ma'am? And what's that, Charlie? I asked. Charlie took my hand into his and said, let me take you out for a meal. just a lovely evening out in nice company. We can go anywhere you want, then maybe go to the snooker hall for a couple of games of pool. Just have a date night, then you go home. Feeling all happy. It worked for my mom after her divorce. If I'd known it could have helped before things got too bad, I would have done it earlier. Let me help you. You know, that sounds like a great idea. I squeezed his hand. Kara and Lucy are going with their grandparents to the lake house. So, how about tonight? Does that work for you? Yeah, that'll work for me. I can come to your house around 7:30. How does that sound? A broad grin on my face, I said. That will be great. Just one thing, don't tell Kara or Lucy about this. They don't know their dad and I are having problems, and I would like to keep it that way. I understand. I won't mention anything. Thank you so much, Charlie. It means a lot to me, but I'd better get going to meet Kara and Lucy. See you tonight, okay? The girls got back to the car at 1:15 and when we got home, they immediately went upstairs to pack. That done, Lucy went to watch TV in the living room, and Kara asked, so, what are you going to do this weekend, ma'am? Not a lot. Clean up the house, I guess. Get things sorted, then wait for you and Lucy to come home. Kara looked at me sideways, and said, are you okay? I'm fine. Why do you ask? You seem to be happy, but I wouldn't have thought you'd be looking forward to spending a weekend alone. I smiled. Ah, well, I'm not, but I don't want you to feel guilty about going away. I want both of you to have a good time. I'll be fine. Kara hugged me. Thanks, ma'am. You're the best. I suggested that Kara join her sister while I prepared them a meal and after eating they could shower and wait for Grandpa to arrive. When my dad showed up, there was only time for a quick hello and then they were on their way. I didn't mind. It gave me time to get ready. I went downstairs only moments before there was a knock at the door. Charlie looked terrific in a black suit, with a white shirt and a tie. I couldn't believe he'd gone to all that trouble for me. I still don't know how far I would go, but if Charlie made a move, I didn't think I'd turn him away. Wow, I greeted him. Don't you look handsome this evening? Charlie's look was priceless as he said. I'm at a loss for words. Laura, you look incredible. I started to blush. Oh, stop it. You're just saying that. Charlie shook his head. No, you were breathtaking. Honest. I feel a little underdressed now. Not at all, Charlie. It will be my pleasure to be out with you tonight. Charlie smiled. Well, the taxi is on its way. Really? I thought I'd be driving. What? Why would I want you to drive? Is that what you do on a normal date night? Well, no, it isn't, but I figured it would be easier. That's all. No. I want you to have a good time. So, if you want to drink, you can. He smiled. So, any idea where you'd like to go? To be honest, Charlie, I haven't thought about it. I don't have anywhere in mind. Charlie thought for a moment then said, right, how about the Muscalzoni? It's a great Indian place and right around the corner from Hustlers. After we've eaten, we can go for a couple of games of pool. Yeah, I said as the taxi arrived. That sounds great to me. As I was with a young lad, I expected to pay for the taxi. But when we pulled up outside the restaurant, Charlie paid the fare. We walked into the restaurant and I got a lot of looks from other women. I think they were jealous. During our meal, Charlie discussed various topics, proving himself to be quite mature and not at all like a 20-year-old. I had a couple of glasses of wine to calm myself, and Charlie paid the bill. It was so lovely to be taken care of like that. We had a couple of games of pool at Hustlers. Charlie beat me 6-3. But I think he let me win a couple of the games. That was so lovely for me. Whenever I played pool against Peter, he would thrash me and I hated it. As time ticked toward 11, Charlie said, Laura, as much fun as I'm having, it's getting late and I need to go. I looked at my watch. Oh my yes, I understand. To be honest, I didn't realize it was that late. I guess it shows I was having fun. Well, that's a good thing, he said, taking his phone out of his jacket pocket. Right, I'll order a taxi. By then, I knew if Charlie made a move, I would let him have me. After the way he'd treated me, he'd earned it. He'd been a fantastic date and it was what I needed. If anything happened, Kara could never know. And then I thought, well, he might not even try anything, given he is Kara's best friend. In the taxi, Charlie said he would see me to my door, and then walk home. When I got out, Charlie paid the driver and followed me toward my front door. I opened the door, turned around, and said, thank you for an incredible night, Charlie. It was just what I needed. You don't have to thank me. I had a great night, so, thank you. Charlie moved closer. Here it comes. I thought, oh my God, should I do this? Then Charlie kissed me on the cheek, smiled, and said, sleep well, Laura. I'll see you soon. That was it. A kiss on the cheek. No, I wanted more now. Why are you going, Charlie? I asked. He looked confused. What do you mean? Well, just because I'm home, it doesn't mean the night has to end. I winked and reached out a hand for him. Charlie was nervous but not slow. What about Kara? I don't want to do anything to hurt her. Of course not, and neither do I. But what Kara doesn't know will not hurt her. I paused before adding, unless you don't want. Charlie gripped my hand. I'm just a little shocked, Laura. I chortled. Oh, come now, Charlie. Don't act all innocent. I know you cheated with Tracy behind her husband's back. Oh God, you know about that." He looked genuinely shocked. "Yes, I do. So, stop playing around and come inside. You want it as much as I do, but you understand it is a one-night thing only. Well, in that case, we'd better make the most of it." After I closed the front door behind us, I locked my lips onto Charlie's. "Don't hold back. Charlie, I want you to give me everything you've got." I eventually sent Charlie packing on Sunday night at 6. The girls were due home at 8, and I didn't need Kara wondering what Charlie was doing there. I have to admit, I felt guilty when I looked at Kara and I knew I couldn't carry on doing it. The next time I was alone with Charlie, I told him it was over. He was so mature about it, and said he didn't want to hurt Kara by her finding out. Things returned to normal after that, all except for one thing. I soon found out that I was going to have a reminder of my weekend with Charlie. It was my fault, of course, but I managed to entice Peter right away, and later told him we were having another child. Luckily, he believed me.